All right, I want to briefly go over the 4 common misconceptions about Charlie Kirk that black folks in the extreme left keep using to either justify his murder or use to antagonize people on the right, or just for people who gave their condolences to a man that was murdered in front of his wife and children, right? We're going to go over the misconceptions as to why people say you shouldn't do any of those things. Shout out to Osama bin Laden on Instagram. He says he's the fall guy for sure. Yeah, I believe that. I definitely believe something along those lines. And I want to be clear too. This has nothing to do with me worshiping massa, all right, or anything of that nature, like how you Negroes like to say, right? All right, this is just another attempt I'm trying to make to appeal to the reasonable people who may have been fooled into hating a man that actually had some useful advice for the black community. That's the only reason I'm doing this. I'm just tired of seeing black people on the wrong side of the goddamn issues. All right. So, as you know, there are 4 common misconceptions, right? The first one, maybe 5, 4 or 5. The first one is going to be Charlie Kirk said black women don't have the brain processing power to get a job the right way, right? Or something of that nature. But he basically, they're saying that he made a comment about black women's brain processing power, right? There's all types of memes with quotes that actually say, Charlie Kirk said black women don't have the brain processing power, which is totally untrue. The man never used the word black women. He in fact talked about 3 specific black women. All right, so let's get into that video first. Let's get to that one first.
Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called the racist. But now they're coming out and they're saying it for us. They're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously.
And so let me stop right there. He mentioned 4 names: Sheila Jackson Lee, Ketanji Brown Jackson, Joy Reid, and Michelle Obama. These are 4 women who always have something negative to say about people on the right. They're not called racist for having negative opinions about white men. However, because he named these 4 women, he did not say all black women. But because he named these 4 women, they're now morphing that into him saying all black women, which is totally unfair. Like the standards that we put on these people, if we were to have to go by those same standards, then we'd all be racist. Everybody would be racist. I don't see how him calling out 4 specific individuals who he disagrees with ideologically, I don't see how that makes him a racist. Anyway, let's continue. Let's see if he actually says black women. So far, he's only named 4 people. He hasn't generalized an entire group.
You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously. Play cut 52.
But I rise today as a clear recipient of affirmative action, and particularly in higher education. I may have been admitted on affirmative action, both in terms of being a woman and a woman of color, but I can declare that I did not graduate on affirmative action. This is my personal story.
I hear because of action affirmative. She can't even say that. We know. It's very obvious to us that you were not smart enough to be able to get in on your own. I couldn't make it on my own, so I needed to take opportunities from someone more deserving. You know, this is how arrogant Joy Reid and Ketanji Brown Jackson and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee are.
Boom. He didn't say this is how arrogant black women are. he made it a point to name each and every woman that he was speaking about. He did not say all black women or black women. He didn't say that at all. He named 4 specific people.
They're so narcissistic, they think this is persuasive. They think we're like, oh, of course, that's why we need affirmative action, because you have impressed us with your brilliance. Of course. Oh no, imagine the world without Joy Reid. Imagine the world without Sheila Jackson Lee or Michelle Obama or Ketanji Brown Jackson. They think this is persuasive. They think as they kind of now reveal that I'm only here because of anti-white, anti-Asian forced discrimination policies. That turned me into a bitter, resentful activist that hates white people, honestly, through our policies.
So there we go. No mention at all of black women in general. All right, so let's get to the second misconception. All right, this is the funniest one to me. So there's a viral video going around saying that Charlie Kirk called a random Asian man in the audience of a panel that he was at. He called him a chink. Okay, let's get to that one. These are the things people are telling me when I say I don't think Charlie Kirk was a bad guy. These are the things they saying. He said black women don't have brain processing power. He called an Asian man a chink. All right, so let's go to that. Let's go to that. All right, so here we go.
Bigger than that, Charlie.
I live like a
Okay.
Go live like a
The point is
socialist.
larger. The point is larger than that, Charlie.
I live like a capitalist every single day, Shank. I live as a
Hey,
capitalist,
hey,
okay?
hey.
I live what I believe. What do? I get charity every single year.
Hold on.
That's my salary.
Charlie.
Let's-
Now, if you don't know who that is a man named Cenk. C-E-N-K. Cenk, I can't even pronounce his last name. It's like Ugarius or something like that. He's the guy from Young Turks, right? I'm gonna pull up his picture. This is him. This is the guy he's talking about. His name is Cenk. Cenk Uygur. I know I'm butchering that last name. That's the guy he's talking about. That's Cenk. That's Cenk. That's who he's talking about. He's talking to Cenk, and they're actually friends, right? But they're saying they clipped this down to a 30-second clip and said that he called a random Asian man a Cenk.
Charlie, take
Come on, Shank, let's go.
Charlie,
What are you doing? Sit.
take a seat. Take a seat.
Psycho?
All right, no. Take a seat. You're gonna take a seat. You're gonna take a seat over
Oh
here.
my God.
What's my salary?
All right.
Ridiculous. All right, behave, everyone. Jesus.
Okay.
And then you can see even on Twitter they corrected it because this reader says, he says, here he is using racial slurs and going crazy, right? That's what this person put. Then you can see the community notes on here. Charlie Kirk did not use a racial slur in this clip. Charlie was shouting the name of Cenk Uygur, a political commentator and co-creator of the Young Turks, also known as the Young Turks. The snippet can be seen at 5416 in the linked source. So you can go to this YouTube video right here and you can go to the 54-minute video. He didn't call anybody a chink. All right? So that's debunked. All right. The next common misconception is the whole he said black people can't fly a plane or black people shouldn't be pilots, right? That's not what he said, but I'm going to let him explain it in his own words. All right? So let's go to that. Y'all can see that. Let's get it. So here he is on the black pilot thing.
About DEI, unqualified black pilots. You see a pilot on a black pilot. Don't you think it was an irresponsible statement suggesting that maybe these pilots aren't qualified or unqualified?
No. But I'll tell you exactly what I said and why I said it. If
Okay,
that's
go ahead.
I said the pretext. I went through a whole windup. I said United Airlines is saying that they want 40% of all their pilots to be people of color or women. We have learned that we have relaxed standards anytime that we try to reach racial quotas. Anytime we reach racial quotas, we relax the standards. Standards for air traffic control, professors, or college admissions. Therefore, when it comes to pilots or surgeons, if I see somebody who is black, as I said on the show, I'm going to hope that that person is qualified. That's what I said, which of course is legitimate, because they're begging the question, we're not hiring based on merit anymore. We're hiring based on race. So when you see a black pilot, you wonder, boy, is that person there because they earned it or because they were placed there? That's what DEI does. It makes you ask questions you otherwise would not ask.
So the airline industry is going to take an unqualified person just based off diversity.
Underqualified, not underqualified.
Unqualified, underqualified, whatever, uncertified, and put them in a cockpit and risk people's lives?
Those are two different things. Under and un are two different things. Of course, United Airlines will not take someone off the side of the street and put them into a pilot. But in order to reach a 40% goal, they might cut corners. They might accelerate the process in order to reach a goal. We know.
So, I mean, I think that was, he hit the nail right on the head. He's not saying that black people are not qualified to fly planes. He's saying when you have this pressure of trying to meet a quota, right? Anytime, let's look at it like this. Police officers have a ticket quota, right? Every month, some of these state police, they need to get to a certain quota to fulfill their ticket requirements. So it's going to be at a certain point close to the end of the month when they need to reach that quota that they're going to start, example, if it's the first of the month, they may not stop anybody all day for certain infractions. But the closer it gets to the time of that deadline, the threshold is going to widen for what you're going to get pulled over for, because you're trying to meet that quota. All right, you're going extra hard to get to that point. So you're either going to relax or you're going to expand certain aspects around what you're trying to do to get to that goal, if that makes any sense. So if you are United Airlines and you want 40% of your new pilots to be DEI, that means in order to get all these DEI people in, some things are going to get relaxed and some things are going to get overlooked because all you care about is getting to that quota. And all he's saying is, damn, okay, if I see a black pilot or a woman pilot or a transgender pilot, are they just here because you needed to fill a quota, or were they actually the best possible candidate to get this job? That's the point. He wasn't saying black people can't fly planes. He was using that as an example. So when he's saying, if I get on a United Airlines flight, now do I have to ask myself, is this guy qualified enough to fly a plane? Was he the best possible candidate? That's the point. But niggas flipped it and turned it into this big old racist thing that it's not. It's actually a very logical question. It is a very logical question. But criticism is racism to black people. So anybody who's not black, even if you are black and you criticize black people, if you criticize black people and you are black, you're considered an Uncle Tom or a house nigga. If you're not black and you criticize black people, you're considered a racist. Meanwhile, while we block out all the criticism, our community is still in a downward spiral. We're still failing. Our schools still suck. Our kids are still killing each other. Home ownership is still at an all-time low. Black-owned businesses at an all-time low. Let's get to the next one. All right. The next one was, they say he was against black people having civil rights. All right. He was against black people having civil rights. Let's get to that one. Here we go.
If you had the opportunity, you would get rid of the Civil Rights Act?
No, I think you should have a one-page bill that says that racial discrimination based on race is illegal and will not be tolerated in the United States of America. Most black Americans don't support is men and female sports. Would you agree?
Hell no.
Yeah, I know. No, for sure, right? Believe it or not, the Civil Rights Act is now being used to keep men playing in women's sports. So the Civil Rights Act was used to help black America originally. Totally get that. But now the way it was written is that any claim of identification, so someone says, I'm a woman, therefore I can compete in your volleyball team, they come in with a civil rights claim. And so what we're saying is, no, it should be specified to racial, not gender, all that other stuff. And there were all these other provisions as well.
Now, what is wrong with what he just said? This is shit that all your black influencers like Tariq Nasheed, Yvette Carnell, the Black Authority, all of these people have been saying these things for the past 15 years. They always like to bring up the benign neglect policy. What he is telling you right here is benign neglect, which is basically we're going to water down civil rights so that black people don't actually get shit and we just give it to everybody. That's what he's saying. He's saying they shouldn't have done it like that. He's saying the Civil Rights Act should have been about black people and black people only because black people were the ones in the streets dying, getting bit by dogs in order to get it, right? Or at least that's the narrative. So if that's the narrative, why isn't it for black people? Let's play that one more time. Just in case you guys didn't get it. Listen to what he's saying.
If you had the opportunity, you would get rid of the Civil Rights Act?
No, I think you should have a one-page bill that says that racial discrimination based on race is illegal and will not be tolerated in the United States of America. Most black Americans don't support is men and female sports. Would you agree?
Hell no.
Yeah, I know. No, for sure, right? Believe it or not, the Civil Rights Act is now being used to keep men playing in women's sports. So the Civil Rights Act was used to help black America originally. Totally get that. But now the way it was written is that any claim of identification, so someone says, I'm a woman, therefore I can compete in your volleyball team, they come in with a civil rights claim. And so what we're saying is, no, it should be specified to racial, not gender, all that other stuff. And there were all these other provisions as well.
If you had the opportunity, you would...
As he said, it should be specified to racial. You shouldn't discriminate people based on race. Boom. All this other stuff, unnecessary. I totally agree with that statement. I don't know how you could be a black person and not agree with what he just said. I don't know how. What's next? He believes people should die for gun rights or something along those lines, right? So let's get into the whole gun rights argument and then I'll open up the lines. All right?
You're not going to get gun deaths to zero. It will not happen. You can significantly reduce them through having more fathers in the home, by having more armed guards in front of schools. We should have an honest and clear reductionist view of gun violence, but we should not have a utopian one. You will never live in a society when you have an armed citizenry and you won't have a single gun death. That is nonsense. It's drivel. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational. Nobody talks like this. They live in a complete alternate universe. So then how do you reduce? Very simple. People say, oh, Charlie, how do you stop school shootings? I don't know. How did we stop shootings at baseball games? Because we have armed guards outside of baseball games. That's why. How do we stop all the shootings at airports? We have armed guards outside of airports. How do we stop all the shootings at banks? We have armed guards outside of banks. How do we stop all the shootings at gun shows? Notice there's not a lot of mass shootings at gun shows. There's all these guns because everyone's armed.
And I mean, I think he made a perfect point. I mean, listen, he didn't say he wants people to die so he can keep his gun rights. That's the narrative that they're trying to spin around it, right? He's saying it's important for us, just because people kill each other doesn't mean that nobody should be able to have a gun, because the fact that we have rights to own guns ensures the rest of the rights that we have as Americans. Okay? The first thing that these dictators and these communist countries do when they take over the country is they get rid of the guns. Because when they get rid of the guns, the people can't arm themselves. Then the government can just come around and do whatever the hell they want to do. This shit is literally in the Constitution for that purpose. The forefathers of America put that in the Constitution to keep us from getting our republic robbed blind. Every American has the right to own firearms to protect himself against a tyrannical government or something of that nature. That's in the Constitution. That's the realest shit in the Constitution. That's what keeps this whole thing together. But most of you liberals live in a utopian world where you think no guns means freedom for everybody. No, no guns means the government is the only one with guns. Which means the government tells you what to do whenever they want. And that, I don't know about you, but that's not the way I want to live.